Want to know Batman's most expensive secret? Here's a hint. It's not the million-dollar suit, not the fleet of vehicles, not even those fancy gadgets. The cars, the weapons, the tech. Forget about them. Here's what I discovered after a week of research. The most expensive piece isn't what you see in the movies. It's hidden, massive, and buried deep beneath Wayne Manor. Let's start with what you see in every Batman photo, the suit gleaming under Gotham's streetlights. You know what? This iconic suit is not just any costume. It's the most advanced combat suit ever built. Let's start with the basics. The armor plates alone cost $20 million. Yeah, you heard that right. But here's the thing. You can't fight crime if you can't move, right? So the cape needs to be special too. We're talking about a $15 million piece of memory cloth that goes from flowing cape to glider in seconds. Oh, and those intimidating white eyes? They're actually 2 million AR lenses that scan and analyze everything Batman sees. But wait till you hear about what's underneath. Ready? Sensors, thermal layers, stealth systems. All that invisible tech adds up to $48 million, woven right into the suit's fabric. Think about it. This thing is basically a mobile command center disguised as a bat. It monitors everything from body temperature to nearby threats and makes Batman practically invisible to thermal scans. Add it all up, and just the bat suit costs $85 million. Now you'd think the cowl would just be a fancy mask, right? Wrong. It's $8 million worth of tech packed into a helmet. Night vision, sonar mapping, tactical displays. Everything Batman needs to stay one step ahead of Gotham's criminals. And don't even get me started on that utility belt. Sure, it looks like a fancy bunch of pouches, but that utility belt is a $3 million piece of military-grade tech. Everything's fingerprint locked, temperature controlled, and exactly where Batman needs it when he needs it. So when we do the math, that brings us to $96 million just for what Batman wears. But here's the crazy part. We haven't even talked about what powers all this gear yet. Remember when I said the suit was just the beginning? You might think all that gear just works on its own, but every piece of Batman's equipment needs a technological backbone to function, and we're not talking about regular computers. Let me explain. The Bat computer alone costs $45 million. Therefore, it better be worth it. This thing processes more data per second than most countries' intelligence agencies. Satellite tracking, criminal databases, predictive crime analysis. It's basically like having the entire CIA in your basement. But Batman can't be in front of a computer all the time. That's where the $30 million surveillance network comes in. We're talking about thousands of sensors scattered across Gotham, drones patrolling the skies, and an AI system that monitors everything 24/7. Every security camera, every police radio, every suspicious movement. Batman sees it all. And here's where it gets really sci-fi. $20 million worth of augmented and virtual reality systems tie everything together. Those AR lenses in Batman's cowl we talked about, they're connected to all of this. Real-time 3D mapping of entire buildings, instant facial recognition, even predicting where criminals might strike next. It's like having a video game HUD in real life. So when we tally up the digital brains behind Batman, from the CIA-level supercomputer to the citywide surveillance web, we're talking about $95 million in raw computing power. And every circuit of it is crucial for what comes next. Think Batman's suit or the tech behind it was expensive? His ride makes that look like pocket change, and I'm not just talking about the Batmobile. Wayne's garage is packed with millions of dollars worth of high-tech vehicles. Let's start with the crown jewel, the Batmobile. At $125 million, this isn't just a car, it's a tank that thinks it's a supercar. The chassis is made from military-grade titanium alloy that can withstand direct missile hits. Its hybrid jet turbine engine generates enough thrust to hit 350 miles per hour while being whisper quiet in stealth mode. The onboard AI can drive autonomously through combat situations, and the electromagnetic pulse defense system can disable any pursuing vehicles within a 50-foot radius. The $75 million Batwing takes aerial superiority to another level. Its adaptive camouflage panels can bend light around the aircraft, making it virtually invisible to both radar and the naked eye. The thrust vectoring system lets it hover silently or hit Mach 2 in seconds. And those retractable wings? They're embedded with thousands of micro-thrusters for precise maneuvering in Gotham's tight spaces. Need to chase criminals through narrow alleys? That's where the $25 million Batpod comes in. Those massive gyroscopic wheels aren't just for show. They allow the bike to lean at impossible angles and even drive sideways along walls. The electric motor delivers instant torque while remaining dead silent, and the whole thing can collapse into a compact form that fits inside the Batmobile. So when we calculate the cost of Batman's personal fleet, from the missile-proof Batmobile to the stealth aircraft that makes the Air Force jealous, we're looking at $225 million in automotive excellence. But these incredible machines need somewhere to call home. Everyone thinks the Batcave is just a fancy basement with some computers and cars. But when I broke down the numbers, I realized it's actually the single most expensive part of being Batman. Turning a natural cave into Batman's headquarters? $180 million. But that's what it costs to build something this insane. Every wall reinforced to withstand explosions. A ventilation system that could filter out Scarecrow's fear toxin. waterproofing that keeps the cave dry even during Gotham's worst floods. And when earthquakes hit, the anti-seismic structures don't even flinch. Even the basic stuff is military grade. We're talking about walkways strong enough to support the Batmobile. And here's the crazy part. The power draw from all this tech is so massive, it could light up half of Gotham. Speaking of security, Batman spent $65 million making sure nobody finds his secret lair. Biometric scanners, motion detectors, false walls, and enough backup systems to make the Pentagon jealous. There's even a self-destruct sequence that can flood the entire cave in minutes. Then there's the power system. $40 million of custom engineering that keeps everything running. The Batcave has its own nuclear reactor. Yeah, you heard that right. A nuclear reactor under a mansion. It needs to power everything from the supercomputers to the vehicle charging stations, and do it without showing up on Gotham's power grid. And when we total up Batman's underground fortress, from the blast-proof walls to that secret nuclear reactor, we're looking at $285 million in engineering marvel. But all this advanced technology is only as good as the person using it. And to master it all, that's where the real investment begins. You might think the training would be the cheapest part of becoming Batman. After all, how expensive can learning some martial arts be, right? Wrong. The world's most elite combat training doesn't come cheap. $12 million for martial arts masters, $8 million for special forces tactics, $15 million covering everything from forensics to computer programming, detective work to stealth training in Tibet. Total price tag to transform from billionaire playboy to Dark Knight, $35 million. Here's what makes this price tag worth every penny. All those billions in vehicles, tech, and equipment, they're worthless without the skills to use them. That's where the training comes in, turning all that expensive gear into something truly dangerous. And now for the moment of truth, let's see the full bill that covers it all. When we add up everything it takes to build the Batman, the suit, the tech, the vehicles, the Batcave, and the training, grand total to transform from billionaire playboy to Dark Knight becomes $736 million. That's more than the GDP of some small countries, more than a fleet of private jets, more than most Hollywood blockbuster budgets combined. And the craziest part? Bruce Wayne has to replace and upgrade half of this stuff every few years. Being Batman isn't just expensive, it's a never-ending investment in saving Gotham. So next time someone says, why doesn't Bruce Wayne just donate his money to charity? Well, now you know where every penny goes. This is what it really costs to be the Dark Knight.